America is full of small towns. Some have been around for over 100 years, but times are changing fast. People are moving away. Jobs are disappearing. The weather is getting worse. Some towns are fighting to stay alive. Today we'll look at 7 towns that might not make it to 2027. These aren't big cities. They're small places where everyone knows each other. Places where families have lived for many years. But now these towns face big problems. What makes a town disappear? First, people leave when there are no jobs. Second, young people go to college and never come back. Third, businesses close down. Fourth, natural disasters can destroy everything. Fifth, the cost of fixing old buildings becomes too much. Some towns lose half their people in just 10 years. Others run out of money to keep schools open. When the school closes, families with kids move away. When families leave, stores close. When stores close, more people leave. It's like a circle that keeps going. But it's not all bad news. Some towns are fighting back. They're finding new ways to bring people in. They're starting new businesses. They're fixing their problems. We'll also look at 2 towns that might actually survive and grow. Let's start our journey across America. We'll visit places you might never have heard of. Each one tells a story about what's happening in small-town America. Centralia, Pennsylvania. The underground fire town deep under the ground in Centralia, Pennsylvania. A fire has been burning since 1962. That's over 60 years of fire underground. The fire started in a coal mine. Coal burns very hot and very long. This fire might burn for 250 more years. Centralia used to be home to over 2,000 people. Today, only about 5 people still live there. The government told everyone to leave in the 1980s. They gave people money to buy new homes somewhere else. But a few people refused to go. The fire makes the ground very hot. Steam comes up through cracks in the road. The air smells like sulfur, which smells like rotten eggs. Walking around town feels scary. You can see smoke coming up from the ground. Some places are too hot to touch. Some scientists study the fire. They want to understand how underground fires work. This helps them learn about fires in other places. But for the people who live there, it's just a sad story about losing their home. By 2027, the last few people might be gone. The fire will still be burning, but no one will be there to see it. Centralia shows us how nature can take back a whole town. Cairo, Illinois. Where 2 rivers meet, Cairo sits where 2 big rivers come together. The Mississippi River and the Ohio River meet right at this town. You might think this would make Cairo a great place for business. Rivers are good for moving things from one place to another. But Cairo is having big problems. Cairo used to have 15,000 people in 1920. Today it has less than 2,000 people. That means 13,000 people left over the years. Every year more people move away. The town sits very low near the water. This means floods happen a lot. When rivers get too full, water covers the streets. People's homes get damaged. Businesses have to close until the water goes away. After many floods, people get tired of fixing the same problems over and over. Young people who grow up in Cairo usually go to college somewhere else. Very few come back after graduation. They find better jobs and more things to do in bigger cities. This means Cairo keeps getting older and smaller. Natural disasters make everything worse. Besides floods, strong storms can damage buildings that are already falling apart. The town doesn't have enough money to fix everything that breaks. By 2027, Cairo might have less than 1,000 people left. Some experts think it could become completely empty. The rivers will still meet there, but there might not be a town to see it. Cairo's story shows us what happens when too many problems hit a town at once. Floods, job loss, and people leaving all happen together. Once this process starts, it's very hard to turn around. But rivers don't disappear. The land is still there. Maybe someday someone will find a new way to use this special place where 2 great rivers become one. Until then, Cairo fights to survive one more day, one more year. Buford, Wyoming, America's smallest town high up in the mountains of Wyoming, sits Buford. This tiny place calls itself America's smallest town. For many years, only one person lived there. His name was Don Sammons. He ran a gas station and a small store. When Don left in 2012, Buford had 0 people. Today, a Vietnamese businessman owns Buford. He bought the whole town for $900,000. That might sound like a lot of money, but it's cheap for buying an entire town. The new owner wants to make Buford a place for tourists to visit. But Buford faces huge problems. It sits 8,000 feet up in the mountains. Winter lasts for many months. Snow can be 10 feet deep. The wind blows very hard. Temperatures drop way below zero. It's one of the coldest places in America. The nearest big town is 45 minutes away by car. If your car breaks down, you're in trouble. If you get sick, the hospital is very far. If you need to buy food, you have to drive a long way. Living in Buford means living completely alone. The post office might close soon. When a town loses its post office, it's not really a town anymore. Mail delivery is one of the basic things that makes a place official. By 2027, Buford will probably still be empty. The buildings will still be there, but no one will live in them. The mountains and snow will take over. It will be a ghost town in the sky. Buford shows us that some places are just too hard for people to live in. Even with modern heating and cars, the mountains can be too cold and too lonely for human life. Monowi, Nebraska Mesa, the one-person town. In the middle of Nebraska sits Monowi, a town with exactly one person. Her name is Elsie Eiler. She is 87 years old and the only person who lives there. She is the mayor, the librarian, and the bartender. She runs the whole town by herself. Monowi used to have 150 people in the 1930s. Families farmed the land around the town. Kids went to school there. People shopped at the local store. But over the years, everyone moved away except Elsie and her husband Rudy. When Rudy died in 2004, Elsie became the only person left. She could have moved away too. Most people would have left. But Elsie loves her town. She doesn't want to give up on the place where she's lived her whole life. Some reporters come to write stories about Elsie and her one-person town. They think it's interesting that she lives alone but won't give up. Elsie likes the visitors, but they always leave. She stays alone with her memories in her empty town. The state of Nebraska recognizes Monowi as an official town because Elsie is still there. She pays taxes and files reports. But when she's gone, Nebraska will remove Monowi from the list of towns. It will just be empty land with old buildings. By 2027, Elsie will be 90 years old. She might still be running her bar and serving hamburgers. Or Monowi might be completely empty. Either way, the town's future depends on one old woman who refuses to give up. Elsie's story shows us how much one person can love their hometown. Even when everyone else leaves, some people will stay until the very end. Pitcher, Oklahoma, poisoned by mining. Pitcher, Oklahoma was built on top of valuable metals. For 100 years, people dug zinc and lead out of the ground. Mining made the town rich. Thousands of people lived there. They had good jobs and nice homes. But mining also poisoned the town so badly that everyone had to leave. The mining companies dug huge holes under the town. They took out millions of tons of metal, but they left behind dangerous chemicals in the dirt and water. The poison got into everything. Children playing in their yards were breathing poison. People drinking water were drinking poison. By 2009, almost everyone was gone. The school closed because there weren't enough students. Stores closed because there weren't enough customers. The post office closed. The police department closed. Pitcher became a ghost town. Then in 2008, a terrible tornado hit what was left of Pitcher. The storm destroyed most of the remaining buildings. It was like nature was finishing what the poison had started. After the tornado, even the people who wanted to stay had nowhere to live. Today, Pitcher is completely empty. You can drive through and see old foundations where houses used to be. Street signs still stand, but there are no houses on the streets. The chat piles are still there, still poisoning the air. The government is trying to clean up the poison, but it will take many years. Some say it might take 100 years to make Pitcher safe again. The cleanup costs millions of dollars. All that money is being spent to fix the damage that mining caused. Wildlife is slowly coming back to some areas. Deer walk through the empty streets. Birds build nests in abandoned buildings. Plants grow through the sidewalks. Nature is taking back the land that people had to give up. Pitcher's story is a warning about what can happen when we don't think about how our actions affect the environment. The mining made people rich for a while, But in the end, it cost them everything. It cost them their health, their homes, and their community. By 2027, Pitcher will still be empty. The cleanup might still be going on. Maybe in 50 or 100 years, people could live there again. But for now, it remains a poisoned ghost town that shows us how badly we can damage the places we call home. Tangier Island, Virginia. Sinking into the bay out in the Chesapeake Bay sits a small island called Tangier. About 400 people live there, but their home is disappearing. Every year the water takes away more land. The island is sinking and shrinking at the same time. Scientists say Tangier Island might be underwater by 2050. Tangier Island is only 1.2 square miles big. That's very small for 400 people to live on. The island sits very low in the water. At high tide, water covers some of the streets. People have to use boats to get around their own town. The people of Tangier have lived there for over 300 years. They are watermen who catch crabs and oysters. Their families have been fishing these waters since the 1600s. They know every part of the bay. Their whole culture is built around the water. But the water is rising faster than ever before. The island loses about 15 feet of land every year. Houses that used to be in the middle of the island are now right at the water's edge. Some homes have already fallen into the bay. The island also has another big problem. The land itself is sinking. This happens because the ground is made of soft mud and sand. As the mud settles, the whole island gets lower. When you combine sinking land with rising water, you get big trouble. Climate change makes the problem worse every year. As the earth gets warmer, ice melts and sea levels rise. What's happening to Tangier Island is happening to coastal places all over the world. By 2027, Tangier Island will be much smaller than it is today. Some houses will be underwater. More families will have moved away. The island might have 200 people instead of 400. Each year after that, it will get smaller and smaller. The people who stay will keep catching crabs and fighting the rising water. They'll patch their homes after every storm. They'll pump water out of their streets. But eventually the bay will win. Tangier Island shows us that sometimes, nature is stronger than human determination. Nipton, California. Desert dreams and broken plans. In the hot desert of California sits Nipton, a tiny town with big dreams and bigger problems. Only about 6 people live there now. But new owners keep buying the town and making grand plans. None of these plans have worked so far. Nipton started as a railroad stop in 1885. Trains carrying goods across the desert needed places to stop for water and supplies. The town grew to about 100 people. They had a hotel, a store, and houses for railroad workers and their families. But trains don't stop there anymore. Modern trains don't need to stop as often. The railroad jobs disappeared. People moved away to find work in bigger cities. By the 1980s, Nipton was almost empty. The town has old buildings from the railroad days, but many need major repairs. The desert sun and wind damage buildings over time. Fixing old structures costs more money than most small businesses can afford. Wildlife can also be a problem. The desert has rattlesnakes, scorpions, and coyotes. People who aren't used to desert life might be scared of these animals. Families with small children worry about dangerous creatures. Some people love the quiet, empty desert. They enjoy seeing stars at night and hearing complete silence. But most people want neighbors, stores, and activities. The isolation that some people love makes other people lonely and bored. Despite all these challenges, Nipton keeps attracting new owners with new ideas. Each one thinks they can solve the problems that stopped the previous owners. They see cheap land and imagine success. By 2027, Nipton might have new owners again, or it might be empty again. The desert will still be hot. Water will still be scarce. The nearest town will still be far away. These basic problems don't change just because someone has a new business plan. Nipton's story shows us that sometimes location matters more than good intentions. Even the best ideas can fail if the place isn't right for people to live and work. Marfa, Texas. Nipton Desert Art Town Success Story. While some desert towns struggle, Marfa, Texas shows that small places can survive and grow. This tiny town in West Texas has become famous around the world. People travel thousands of miles to visit Marfa. It proves that even remote places can thrive with the right approach. Marfa started as a railroad water stop in 1883. Just like many other desert towns, for almost 100 years, it was a quiet place where ranchers and railroad workers lived. The population was never more than a few thousand people. Most young people left for bigger cities after high school. Everything changed in the 1970s when a famous artist named Donald Judd moved to Marfa. He loved the big desert sky and empty landscape. He bought old buildings and turned them into art galleries. He created huge art installations that could only exist in wide open spaces. Other artists followed Judd to Marfa. They liked the cheap rent and inspiring scenery. Empty buildings became art studios. Old warehouses became galleries. The town started attracting visitors who wanted to see this unusual desert art scene. Today, Marfa has about 1,800 people, but millions know its name. Famous actors, musicians, and writers visit regularly. Hotels are booked months in advance. Restaurants serve food that would be at home in New York or Los Angeles. Art galleries show work by world-famous artists. The transformation wasn't easy. Many local ranchers didn't understand why people wanted to look at strange art. Property prices went up as more artists moved in. Some longtime residents felt pushed out of their own town. Change always creates some conflict. But Marfa found ways to balance old and new. The town still celebrates its ranching history. Cowboys and artists shop in the same stores. Visitors come to see both the art and the authentic Western culture. This mixture makes Marfa special. Geography that seemed like a disadvantage became an advantage. Marfa sits in the middle of nowhere, 200 miles from any big city. But this isolation creates incredibly dark skies, perfect for stargazing. The emptiness that scared other businesses away attracted artists who needed space for large projects. The town invested in good infrastructure. They improved the airport so wealthy visitors could fly in easily. They brought in high-speed internet, so people could work remotely. They fixed up historic buildings instead of tearing them down. Local government worked with new businesses instead of fighting them. They created rules that protected the town's character while allowing growth. They encouraged art galleries and restaurants, while supporting traditional ranching businesses too. Education played a big role in Marfa's success. The town attracts smart, creative people who value learning. They support the local school and library. Young people who leave for college sometimes come back because Marfa offers opportunities they can't find in other small towns. Tourism brings in money without destroying the environment. Visitors spend money at hotels, restaurants, and shops, but they don't pollute the air or water. This creates jobs for local people while preserving what makes Marfa special. The town also benefits from being featured in movies and magazines. Every article about Marfa brings more visitors. Social media spreads pictures of the beautiful desert and interesting art. Free publicity helps the town grow without spending money on advertising. Marfa still faces challenges. Housing costs have risen as more people want to live there. Water is still scarce in the desert. The nearest hospital is hours away. But these problems seem manageable because the town has a strong economy and engaged community. By 2027, Marfa will probably be even more successful. More artists will move there. More tourists will visit. More businesses will open. The town shows that small places can thrive if they embrace what makes them unique instead of trying to be like everywhere else. Marfa's story gives hope to other struggling small towns. It shows that creativity, good planning, and community cooperation can overcome geographic disadvantages. Sometimes being different is better than trying to fit in. Story City, Iowa. No small town that keeps growing in the heart of Iowa sits Story City, a town that's doing something most small places can't do anymore. It's growing. While other small towns lose people every year, Story City keeps attracting new families. Today it has about 3,500 people, and that number goes up each year. Story City started in 1881 when the railroad came through central Iowa. Like many Midwest towns, it grew around farming and the railroad. For 100 years it was a typical small town where everyone knew everyone else. Kids grew up, went to college, and usually moved to bigger cities. But Story City made smart choices that helped it survive and grow. The town sits just 30 minutes north of Ames, home to Iowa State University. This location lets people live in a small town, but work at the university or in Ames businesses. They get small-town life with big city job opportunities. The town also sits near Interstate 35, a major highway that runs from Minnesota to Texas. This makes it easy for businesses to ship products and for people to travel. Good location near highways and cities gives Story City advantages that more remote towns don't have. Story City invested in things that families need. They built excellent schools that compete with much larger districts. They created beautiful parks where kids can play safely. They built a new library and community center. These amenities make families want to stay instead of moving away. The town also preserved its historic downtown instead of letting it decay. Main Street has restored buildings with local shops, restaurants, and offices. People can walk to buy groceries, eat dinner, or visit the bank. This walkable downtown creates a sense of community that many suburbs lack. Local government worked hard to attract businesses. They offered help to companies that wanted to start in Story City. They streamlined permit processes and kept taxes reasonable. Several manufacturing companies built facilities there, creating good-paying jobs for local people. The town celebrates its heritage while embracing change. Every year they hold the Scandinavian Days Festival, celebrating the Norwegian and Swedish immigrants who first settled there. Thousands of visitors come for traditional food, music, and crafts. This festival brings in tourism money and gives residents pride in their history. Story City also benefits from Iowa's strong agricultural economy. While many farms have gotten bigger and need fewer workers, farming is still profitable in Iowa. Local farmers spend money at businesses in town. Ag-related companies provide steady employment. The town made sure to have good internet and modern infrastructure. This lets people work from home or start online businesses. Young entrepreneurs can live in Story City while serving customers anywhere in the world. Technology makes small-town isolation less of a problem than it used to be. Housing in Story City costs much less than in big cities, but the quality of life is high. Families can afford nice homes with big yards. Kids can bike safely to school. Parents know their neighbors and feel part of a real community. These benefits attract people tired of expensive, crowded city life. The school system plays a huge role in the town's success. Story City schools consistently rank among Iowa's best. They offer programs you'd expect in much larger districts. Parents move there specifically for the schools. When families come for good schools, they often stay for the community. Healthcare access is better than in many small towns. Story City has a medical clinic and is close to hospitals in Ames. Emergency services are well funded and well equipped. People don't have to worry about medical care being hours away. The town also attracts retirees who want small town life with urban amenities nearby. They can enjoy quiet streets and friendly neighbors while still being close to shopping, restaurants, and cultural events in Ames. Retirees bring stability and volunteer energy to the community. Story City proves that location matters enormously for small-town success. Being near a university and major highway gives advantages that truly isolated towns can't match. But location alone isn't enough. The town made deliberate choices to invest in schools, infrastructure, and quality of life. Young people who grow up in Story City increasingly choose to stay or come back after college. They can find good jobs without giving up the small-town lifestyle they love. This breaks the cycle that kills other small towns, where all the young people leave and never return. By 2027, Story City will probably have 4,000 people or more. New housing developments are already being planned. More businesses want to locate there. The town's success creates more success as word spreads about this thriving small community. Story City shows that small towns can compete with big cities if they offer the right combination of jobs, schools, and quality of life. It's not easy and it requires smart planning and community cooperation, but it can be done. The future of small-town America. We've traveled across America to visit 9 very different small towns. 7 of them might not survive to 2027. 2 of them are growing and thriving. Their stories teach us important lessons about what makes communities live or die. The towns that are disappearing all share common problems. They lost their main source of jobs. Young people moved away and never came back. They couldn't adapt to changing times. Some faced disasters, fires, floods, or pollution that were too big to overcome. The future of small-town America will be written by the choices we make today. Communities that invest in their people, embrace change, and work together have the best chance of survival. Those that don't may become memories like so many towns before them. Our journey ends here, but these towns' stories continue. Some will thrive, others will struggle, and some will disappear entirely. Each one represents the dreams and efforts of people who called these places home. Their legacy reminds us that every community ends up, no matter how small towns, matters to the people who live there.